You want to be on that committee too? You can't be on everything, Dave. I know you really want to be, but you can't be. .30.
Thanks for joining us, Debbie. Move to return from executive session.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes. Dad, will you do us the honor of leading in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Move to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes, we have a very important recognition tonight. I believe Ken Dietz will be doing the honors.
He is my honor and pleasure to administer the oath of office, for Anderson Township trustee. Do you want to read it? If you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I
I,
state your name, please.
D. Stone,
Swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of trustee of Anderson Township,
of trustee of Anderson Township,
Hamilton County, State of Ohio,
Hamilton County, State of Ohio,
during my continuance in office.
during my continuance in office.
Thank you. Ms. Foreman.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
How did you manage to screw up? One job you have to do.
Whew, that was close. All right.
Okay,
She did it.
I'm here.
Well, we had another recognition this evening for Bruce Burno, his donation of Trees and Gratitude program that he funded. But since he is not here, we'll
Push
we'll
that.
put that on hold. If he shows up, we'll do it later. If not, we'll do it next month because I want to make sure he's here. And with that, we move into our public forum.
Toy drive.
Toy drive.
Toy drive. Sorry, missed that. Yeah, sorry. That's right. I knew you guys were here for something. Sorry.
Thank you. On behalf of Chief Martin and the Fire Department, we'd like to recognize the leaders of our Public Outreach Division for their selfless work in organizing and conducting a toy drive. This holiday season, firefighter Doug Egan and firefighter Mike Montague selflessly gave of themselves to organize a toy drive around a theme called Stuff the Ambulance. This is the first time that it's ever been done by the fire department. And what their hopes were to gather a modest amount of toys to donate back to local children in need. This kind of grew beyond anybody's imagination. In 3 short weeks, with the assistance of firefighters who volunteered their time, firefighters' families, and under the leadership of Mike and Doug, they were able to gather up 825 toys.
Wow.
And also $250 in donations. And with this, they wanted to assure that the toys stayed local, so to support local children in need. So they took it upon themselves to partner with a organization called 9 United, that I'm sure all of you are familiar with, and Interparish Ministries, to assure that those toys are staying local. So on December 11th, they delivered the 825 toys that went well beyond what Interparish Ministries and 9 United could comprehend. They just couldn't believe it. So hats off to the both of them. But it really wouldn't have been possible without support of the community and the surrounding communities, and also some local partners. The Kroger Company for being one. They allowed us to set up on Black Friday on their property to accept donations. And they also gave us gift cards that we could take and purchase toys within their store. So that was wonderful. So these two, we just wanted to recognize them for all their hard work. They're just real go-getters, and they do an outstanding job for the fire department of Township. They represent the township in the light that all of us can be proud that they're out there doing for us. So, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good job, guys. Excellent work.
What's the goal for next year, fellas? Over there, 1,000.
820, yeah, you got a high
So if
mark
we can
now, yeah.
Thanks for doing that, guys. Well done.
Thank you.
Stuff the ambulance, we're gonna have to stuff the fire truck next?
Yeah, really. Now you need a bigger.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now is the time where we set aside for any public comments, and if anyone would like to do or address this board, they may do so at this time. All right. We will move into trustee comments. Andrew, D, anything?
No, just, Dee, congrats again, oath of office, you managed to stumble through it. Christmas is here, so everyone just please be safe. Weather's gonna be nice, I guess this weekend, I don't know what the forecast is for Christmas, but just be nice and be safe out there, and I just wish everybody a happy holidays. It can get hectic, so that's all I say. On behalf of the staff, we hope everyone here has a safe and blessed and peaceful holiday season, traveling or not. Be safe out there.
And I just want to say the same, happy holidays, so, that's it. And I'm just happy to take the oath of office again and continue to serve, so, glad to be here. That's it.
Well, I will also echo Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. It's been another busy year in the township. So one of the things, though, I did want to mention, and I was trying to bring it up, but I don't have it on my phone. So I was going to actually read the rating from Moody's. But long story short, the incredible staff in this township, led by these two women sitting to my right, pulled off another pretty incredible presentation on behalf of the township. We you guys spent the better part of a couple of months putting together a pitch, if you will, to present to Moody's, the rating organization, on behalf of the township. Then Margaret, Vicki, Steve, Paul, we all spent pretty much a full day entertaining and showing the couple of people from Moody's that came in town the great things about our township and presenting to them. And thankfully, all of that work paid off because we did receive a confirmation of our AAA credit rating, which is a pretty incredible feat for government in general, but certainly one that I think is somewhat restrictive in the way that we generate revenue and the things that we do with it. It just speaks volumes to what this staff, what these guys do, and how fiscally responsible they are. So with that, I just want to say thank you. I know the entire township thanks you, even though it didn't get any press. Some other things got press, but that unfortunately did not. So on behalf of the 44,000 plus people that live here, we thank you for all your hard work, and that is absolutely something that will pay off in the future.
Second, for sure.
Yes, thank you. And Josh, thank you too. I think you're being a little more modest. I think
Yeah,
you're
Josh spent all day
think
with
Josh
staff
did
and schmoozing.
Wined and dined.
Wine and dine.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, Coke and water, that's all it was.
Um,
Coca-Cola.
You want to jump back to presentations?
Yes, I do. Now that Bruce is here, we have a little presentation that we'd like to do. So, Andrew?
Bruce, if you want to come up, please.
You can do whatever you want.
We have a resolution for you, Bruce, and I move that we adopt a resolution accepting donation of trees to the township from the Trees and Gratitude Program funded by Bruce J. Burnham pursuant to the authority of section 505.10 of the revised code.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Kirk?
Yes.
And I work with Bruce on the committee, and I know the hard work that he does, and the man is committed to trees, and it's amazing when you're at these meetings and with the brain trust that we have. We have a lot of great people that put their input in. There's a lot of thought going into that decision-making process when we recommend trees and everything else, and it's one of the reasons the township looks so great and will continue to look great, so thank you.
That's
You're welcome to say
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
what if I don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
Less than 20 minutes, I promise.
That's
No,
fine.
no, just easy. First of all, I want to thank Suzanne Klingman from the Green Space Committee, of course, who helps me greatly with all the site selection and tree selection and placement and proper. I want to thank Eric and the Public Works staff, too, because they have helped with some weed whacking and tree pruning to help us get access to some of these places that are a little difficult to work. And then Paul and all the tree committee members, too. It's been, as Andrew says, a great group of very knowledgeable people who are far smarter than I am when it comes to trees. But just since I am a finance guy, a couple numbers here through the Trees and Gratitude Program. I did plant 50 trees this year. 31 of them were on Anderson Township. Actually, 31 of them were at Bauer, 2 at the Heritage Center, which is becoming our new project. We're trying to get that approved as a formal arboretum. Was helped with over 20 volunteers, so it's not just me. And many students from UC and St. McNicholas High School, too, helped with the planting and provided a good educational opportunity for them. Worked out, the total investment worked out to about less than $50 a tree, so I think it's a good, that's because the labor's free. So that helped out. But since I started this in 2012, it's been 8 years. So I've planted about, can't read my own writing here, 259 trees. 235 are still surviving, so had a 90% survival rate, which is outstanding. Very, very proud of that. And again, trees at 10 different locations this year, a total of 15 locations, all within Anderson Township. I'm thinking of expanding to Newtown, kind of going global, but it's all within. So the largest projects are at Johnson Hills has 72 trees, Bauer Preserve has 55, and we did plant prepared sites for another 20 trees at Bauer next year, so Bauer will be the largest project when we get done with it next year. So again, over 15 different locations, 7 of which are township properties, 7 of the cemeteries, and Bauer and green space locations and so forth. So appreciate your support greatly. It is many people involved with it, a lot of expertise, a lot of volunteers. I thoroughly love it, you can tell. So I do appreciate your support, living a life of gratitude, and as I said last year, I'll be back next year. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce.
Ken Dietz.
Thank you. Dee, also congratulations to you.
Thank you, Ken.
I'd also like to add that the same for the people that put together the presentation for our Moody's rating. I'd also like to mention my staff, Debbie Hucker and Nancy Downs, who kept us on track over the years, and they watch the expenses. And I know Debbie's looking at every purchase that we make, and sometimes we have to argue with the department heads, and sometimes they win, sometimes we win, but we don't spend anything we shouldn't. And thank you to my staff for keeping us on track. I can finally say it's the last meeting of the year, so we're almost finished with our financial reports. We still have a few loose ends coming in, but we came out 4% above our projection on revenues. We're going to be around 90%, 10% savings on expenditures, with the exception of a few encumbrances that we have now. So we'll be somewhere around 90%, maybe 92% of the anticipated budget that we had. So that's as good as I think we've done. We do unfortunately have some appropriation changes, which are necessitated by an invoice that we received from workers' comp about 3 weeks ago. And it's changes in the 4 major funds: general fund, public works, sheriff, and fire. In general fund, we needed $4,800 for workers' compensation payment that must be made in December this year instead of January 2020. It's just a change in the way they're demanding their payments. We have $9,500 in Public Works, and we're taking that from Tools and Equipment. Just $700 in the Sheriff's workers' comp from Tools and Equipment also. But in Fire, it's $110,300, and that's coming from repairs and miscellaneous expenses. So I would need your approval to make those appropriation changes within the same fund. Does not require a letter to the county auditor.
I move to adopt the appropriation changes recommended by Fiscal Officer Ken Dietz.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes.
And finally, we have our final summary appropriations and revenues that are before you. The budget numbers are pretty much the same as what we started. We don't change the budget, we just have to submit our final budget, and it's right within the $46 million that we had sent to the county auditor in the beginning, well, when we did our permanent budget at the end of March. And the revenues reflect exactly what we have received up to date. There might be a few extra payments coming in, but we can't anticipate those since these reports have to be approved by you tonight, and we need to send them down to the county auditor's office. So I need your approval on those.
I move to approve the 2019 final summary appropriation and revenue report as presented by the Fiscal Officer.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Ken,
Thank you, Ken.
That's a wonderful job. 4% over on revenues and 10% under on expenses is always a nice surprise at the end of the year that you continue year in, year out to do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Debbie.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Ken
And Ken. And
and
Debbie.
Debbie.
Margaret?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, congratulations to Dee Stone on her reelection.
Thank you.
And if I could, because in my other life, I'm a bond lawyer and I spend a lot of time looking over Moody's rating materials and going through that process on other bond issues. And you are to be so congratulated on retaining your AAA. It is the highest rating given by Moody's. And in this era of declining state revenues that are shared with local governments, it's very unusual for a local government to have that rating. One of the messages that was delivered through all of the preparation and meeting with the Moody's analysts got through, because in Moody's report, they talked about the township's strong financial position, and they attributed that to, and this is Moody's words, proactive management and conservative budgeting practices. And they were also impressed by the multi-year planning processes that you all undertake, which starts really with planning and zoning and their outreach to communities and to the community, and updating various components of your overall comprehensive plan for Anderson Township. But then it doesn't stop there, because when the board meets each year in a planning session, then the real work begins of trying to match up a financial plan against what you think you want to undertake for the benefit of the community. And Moody's saw that your planning process has been really effective, and that you have these multi-year budgets and capital planning, and that leads to financial stability. So that underpins your AAA, and the board itself and the staff, department heads that work so hard on this really are to be congratulated. So that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then in your packet for this evening, you have two resolutions that relate to a tax increment financing area that is being established. We're referring to it as the Stonegate TIF. In 2018, you sold property to the Mayerson Company, to an affiliate of Mayerson, 3Gen Stonegate. And construction of their project is, of course, underway. So the board sent notices out to the school district and others as required by statute. All the statutory requirements have been met. The school board, the Board of Education of Forest Hills met on December 16th, and they approved the resolution that you had sent to them, creating the Stonegate TIF. You do hold the school district harmless, so that's a good thing to do, and they are supportive of your TIF. So there is a resolution to create the TIF, but before you pass that, there is a resolution removing parcels of real property from operation of resolution you passed in 94. That is the original 1994 TIF for the township, and some components of the parcel that will constitute the Stonegate TIF were previously in that other TIF. So first you need to remove them from the 94 TIF, and then the second resolution establishes the Stonegate TIF.
I move to adopt a resolution removing parcels of real property from operation of resolution number 94062804 as amended.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
This is why you gave me the second one.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't look at it. I should have
They
grabbed
do
the
'em both?
first one. And now we have to do the second one for adopting. It's much longer,
Creating
so
it.
thank you, Dee.
Yes, you're welcome.
I move to adopt a resolution creating a TIF area pursuant to section 5709.73B of the Ohio Revised Code, declaring the improvement to the parcels of real property located within the TIF area to be a public purpose, exempting from real property taxation 100% of that improvement, requiring the owners of the parcels to make service payment in lieu of taxes, providing for the distribution of a portion of those service payments to the Forest Hills Local School District and the Great Oaks Institute of Technology and Career Center Joint Vocational School District, establishing a Township Public Improvement Tax Increment Equivalent Fund for the deposit of the remainder of those service payments, specifying that the public infrastructure improvements to be made that directly benefit the parcels, and authorizing the execution of a revenue-sharing agreement with the Forest Hills School District.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
This is what Dee does to me. She leaves me with the long.
Thank you, and that'll permit Mrs. Earhart to execute the revenue sharing agreement with Forest Hills Local School District. The next resolution in your packet relates to the Hills project, the redevelopment of the Anderson Center Station parcel adjacent to the Anderson Center property. This resolution is in the context of authorizing the conveyance of that parcel to an affiliate of Hills HP Acquisitions LLC. And that disposition would have to occur in compliance with the terms and conditions of a redevelopment agreement that the township has negotiated at your direction with the principals of Hills. So the resolution here would authorize the disposition of that property in accordance, and it would also approve and authorize the Hills agreement. The actual conveyance would not occur until the end of the due diligence period that Hills is undertaking. So,
Okay, thank you. I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the disposition of real property described herein pursuant to section 10A6 of the revised code pursuant to the Anderson Center Station redevelopment agreement and approving and authorizing the execution of said agreement.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes, great work on that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
Thank
Exciting,
you.
very, very exciting.
job.
If everybody knew, it would be amazing.
all right.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Paul.
Hello, good evening. We just have one item under our agenda for the Planning and Zoning Department. Earlier this month, on December the 3rd, Hamilton County Public Health held their annual recognition ceremony for the We Thrive communities. So Brad Bauer, Sarah Donovan, and Karen Swanberger from our TAC committee attended the event and accepted the proclamation. The township was recognized for the 5th straight year for meeting the requirements of a We Thrive community. The trustees authorized participation in this program in 2014, and then, as you know, our We Thrive committee was formed last year as their, not last year, this year, 2019, as their inaugural year. So for those of you who are not familiar with the We Thrive committee and the program, it is a partnership between communities, agencies, and Hamilton County Public Health to generate broad-based support for creating healthy communities. And there are broad-based programs from healthy living, including building a physical environment that encourages exercise and walkability, as well as other programs such as community art, community events that bring the community together. Just a very broad-based group of activities. So our committee that was formed in 2019 has a 2-year action plan that we are halfway through, and we look forward to completing that action plan and then starting new goals for 2021 as well. So just wanted to present this proclamation to you. And again, thank you for your support of the We Thrive Committee and our participation in the program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Nice to be recognized.
So much thriving,
We've been thriving.
Yes,
in
we have.
Anderson.
a lot of thriving.
Ken, you want to say it?
Hello, Lieutenant.
Hello, good afternoon, congratulations.
Thank you.
You should have in front of you a liquor license permit request for the Shell, new Shell, located at 6685 Salem Road. It's a C1 class permit request. We have no objection.
I move not to object to a new liquor license request for Salem Shell, Inc., DBA Shell Express, located at 6685 Salem Road.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone? Mr. Gerth?
Yes. But,
Yes.
okay, wait, I do have a question.
Shell
Is this the new one?
Yeah, the new one.
It's a new
It's a
request.
Shell too?
Mhm.
Isn't the
Yes.
one down the street a Shell?
That's
I think-
Sunoco.
Oh, that's a
This is
Sunoco. Okay, never mind,
Same
sorry.
colors, different name.
Yeah,
okay.
okay, never mind.
It's a nice looking
I
place.
thought you would be
They're doing-
happy that it's the new one that took the place.
Yeah, it's all fixed up. Well, you're not, it's much, very nice looking.
Hey,
It's turning out very
They
nice.
were pouring cement today. I'm
Yes.
happy. The
There you
hole
go.
is filled.
The hole's
The
filled.
hole
I'm
is
happy.
It
filled.
looks very nice. It's coming along.
The hole is no longer there.
There you go.
Because another month, they're not gonna, they're gonna be done quickly. Did he tell you his target opening date?
I did not. No, he answered the question.
Maybe.
Where is it
Steve,
again?
you know?
Where is it?
Where's that?
Where is it?
Salem and Bernie.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Shell runs a nice gas station. Very clean.
Wilson?
Shell.
Wilson?
Sunoco doesn't.
Sunoco
Yeah.
does not.
Hello, Eric.
This evening, I am requesting authorization to prepare and advertise for bid our 2020 curb and sidewalk program. I plan to advertise for bid in mid-January 2020 with a bid opening in early February 2020. With this time frame, I plan to make a recommendation to the board and request acceptance of the most responsive bidder at the March 19, 2020 board meeting. And our goal is to begin construction at the beginning of April and hopefully have everything done by August of 2020 before school starts. And that's before you tonight.
I move to authorize bid preparation and advertisement for the 2020 curb and sidewalk program.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes.
That's all I have this evening.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Eric, would you pass along to Bruce? They did a great job on Markley. Their cleanup was excellent. Their grading
did.
work
That
was
turned out very
excellent,
well.
and everything looked, I mean, they did a really good job grading everything back to,
Yes, that worked out really well.
yeah, they did. I mean, I've seen a lot of construction projects where they kind of finish and then they don't clean, that they really did.
We have a walkthrough on that tomorrow morning. I'll pass that along.
Yeah, just say it looks
All right.
nice.
Thank you.
So is it open? Is the sidewalk now open?
Yeah,
for-
people were
Have you
walking
walked on it?
Yes,
Andrew?
I walked the entire distance, and then
Took you
Josh
4
picked me
days.
up. Yes, took me 4 days. My knees are still
Walked
hurt.
clear up to the top of the hill. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob, anything else from fire? Thank you.
Thank you.
Vicki?
Mr. Severs has the first several items.
Good evening. As part of the Harmony rezoning that occurred earlier in 2019, there were a couple conditions or suggestions related to the installation of a right turn deceleration lane with that project on Clough Pike, west of Newtown Road, as well as some study for the township's adjacent property for the construction of a bypass channel for Clough Creek. We've been working with Harmony through their engineers, and what we have before you is essentially authorization to allow township administrator to enter an agreement with Smith Packet, DBA AL Investors LLC, to allow for them to do the work on the township's property. Again, the right turn deceleration lane would need some additional land acquisition from us for that to happen, and the bypass flood channel would be a public improvement that we're anxious to see how that would work out for Clough Pike. So if there's any questions on either of those, I'm happy to answer those.
I move to authorize the township administrator to enter into an agreement subject to review by the law director with Smith Packet, DBA Cincinnati AL Investors LLC, to provide a right of entry on township-owned land on Clough Pike, parcel 500-360-4, to construct a bypass flood basin for Clough Creek, and to dedicate right-of-way and/or provide an access easement on the same property to facilitate the construction of a right-turn deceleration lane into the Cincinnati AL Investors site. Both projects are anticipated to have safety benefits for township property owners.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll certainly keep you posted as we roll into 2020 with that project. The second item we have is we've been approached by a property owner that has an approximately 2.5 acre parcel on the southwest corner, the intersection of Clough and Wolf Angle Road. It's a very visible piece of property that goes along Clough, pretty wooded hillside, and adjacent to a tributary of Clough Creek in that area. The proposal was to donate that property to the township. The resolution you have before you would allow us to proceed with that process. We still have some due diligence work to do, but in the hopes that that can be wrapped up in the next month, this would allow us to proceed with that property transfer. Again, if there's any questions, happy to answer those, or Margaret will as well on those.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing property transfer agreement with CN Body and Amar Body, successor co-trustees of the Shabnam Body Revocable Trust dated January 27, 1997, as amended, and accepting donation of real property and interest therein to the township by said trust pursuant to the authority of Section 50510 of the revised code.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Okay, third item we have for you this evening pertains to citizen committee appointments. We heard earlier about thoughtful planning and how that has been very beneficial for the township with Moody's. We've heard about the We Thrive Committee. We had some discussion of the Tree Committee. Each year we celebrate the now nearly 120 volunteers that serve our community on those variety of boards. And so I have a series of motions for the 2020 appointments that I'd like the board to consider at this point in time, and I'll take those in order. That's okay. The first one is for the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals. Staff's recommendation to appoint Jeff Nye to a 5-year term on the BZA to expire December 31st, 2024. Paul Shekels to an unexpired open term on the BZA to expire December 31st, 2022. Earl Carell as the first alternate, and Scott Lawrence as the second alternate to the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals for 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Pappas? Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
After reading these for about 18 years now, I'm just surprised that we're in the 2020, so it just hit me there. Second is Zoning Commission.
This is to appoint Brian Elliff to a 5-year term on the Township Zoning Commission to expire December 31st, 2024. Ben Henson to an unexpired open term on the Zoning Commission to expire December 31st, 2020. And Michael Dungus and Chuck Denning as the first alternate and second alternate respectively for the Anderson Township Zoning Commission for 2020.
So moved.
Mr. Pappas? Yes. Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes.
Okay. Now are the other 7 township non-statutory committees that we have. So I'll roll through these, and we can't do justice to the work that these folks put forth. We'll be recognizing them in Anderson Insights as we do each year in our next edition coming out in March. But here goes. So the first is to appoint Katie Buckman as chair, Jenny Barrett, Samantha Cook, Beth Davis, Stephen Fagans, Austin Grewe, Paige Jansen, Pinky Kokocius, Ken Kushner, Lexi Lawston, Julie Martina, Sarah McManaway, Mary Nicholson, Jenny Sarver, Karen Schwamberger, Trenny Selfridge, Sonia Shively, Carl Sieber, Marcus Thompson, Kathleen Wagoner, Susan Wheatley, Joseph Wicker, Gary Rodovac, and Dee Stone as the trustee representative for the Anderson Township We Thrive Committee for 2020. To appoint Ron Edgerton as chair, Paul Brosh, Ross Romy, Rick Voss, and then Ken Dietz as fiscal officer, and Josh Girth as trustee representative to the Anderson Township Green Space Advisory Committee for 2020. Trenny Selfridge as chair, Thomas Browning, John Sissel, Adrian Eastlake, Dick Erkbacher, Steve Fagans, Peg Fenner, Brian Gay, Dave Habiger, Joe Heiss, Pinky Kokocius, Ken Kushner, Jay Lewis, Mike Niehaus, Richard Porter, Karen Schwamberger, Paul Shekels, Paul Cyan, Carl Sieber, Ken Vincent, Kurt Wells, Brandon Woodard, and Andrew Pappas as the trustee representative to the Anderson Township Transportation Advisory Committee for 2020. To appoint Bruce Burno as chair, Lori Beer, Scott Berline, Sandra Coleman, Josh Eastlake, John Halpin, Patty Good, Jim Hansel, Carol King, Tim Kloppenberg, Tom Pruce, Jim Romke, Sonia Shively, Jason Stockslager, Rick Voss, Bill Wace, Joe Wilging, and Andrew Pappas as the trustee representative to the Anderson Township Tree Committee for 2020. To appoint Paul Kitzmiller as chair, Bill Abramovitz, my apologies, Bill, Elizabeth Barber, Julie Bissinger, Amy Brokhamer, Chris Corrado, Jeff Cowan, Matt Davey, John Deeds, Joe Dold, Steve Fagans, John Halpin, Nicole Hunter, Philip Kiley, Mark Malinsky, Eric Miller, Scott Miller, Donald Nickerson, Brad Nixa, Zach Peterson, Scott Prebles, Amy Richardson, Jeff Rosa, Ian Smith, Josh Girth as trustee representative to the Anderson Township Economic Development Committee for 2020. To appoint Katie Buckman, Ron Edgerton, Clyde Dial, Carl Steinmanis, and Dee Stone as trustee representative to the Anderson Township Betterment Commission for 2020. And last, Abby Lackmeyer as chair, Kelsey Billman, Sherry Burnside, Marcia Cole, Christine Corcoran, Clyde Dial, Michelle Lepresto, Stephen Long, Al Norwood, Susan Ward, and Dee Stone as trustee representative to the Anderson Township Senior Center Advisory Committee for 2020.
So moved.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes.
Thank you, Steve.
Good job,
You're out.
Steve.
You're done.
Yeah,
Good job.
that's it.
Thank you.
Ms. Parker has the next item.
And last but certainly not least is the board's appointment to the Board of Park Commissioners.
I move to appoint Julie Bissinger to an unexpired term open on the Anderson Township Park Board of Commissioners to expire May 1st, 2020.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes.
Thank you. In addition to the citizen committees, we also have a number of internal committees. One of the ones that's dear to my heart that's most important is the 2020 Ethics Panel. This is a group of township employees that volunteer to serve to represent their departments to ensure that we not only adhere to the Ohio Ethics Code, but to an ethics code that township employees recommended that goes above and beyond the Ohio Ethics Code, and the board adopted in March of 2013. So there is a motion before you to appoint the 2020 Ethics Panel.
I move to appoint Betty Cowan, Administration, and Rachel Macaluso, Fire and Rescue, to the Anderson Township Ethics Panel for 2-year terms beginning January 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2021. The board further recommends that Eric Lickenbuehl of Public Works and Jim Lewis Planning and Zoning, Debbie Hucker Fiscal Office will continue their terms on the service on the Anderson Township Ethics Panel until December 31st, 2020.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes. You know, all of these, the ethics panel especially, but all these citizen committees, I think, show how not only our team here goes above and beyond, but just the engagement and the outreach that we do to this community. The fact that we have this much interest, which, I mean, Steve, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if we've ever had this much interest in these committees, I think shows that our message is getting out, and I think people want to be involved, which is great. Good work, everyone.
Thank you. The next item we have for the board is a limited home rule resolution reappointing Ms. Comey as our law director. Margaret always goes above and beyond, but the last month we have consumed every minute of her every waking hour between property purchases, sales, various agreements, every contract that runs through the office, the Moody's presentation, the bond pricing that we completed today. She has been a trooper, and I would ask that she be reappointed.
I move to adopt a resolution, limited home rule resolution appointing Margaret Comey and Locklord LLP as law director for a term ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll now return we have nothing from executive session. I'll return to Mr. Girth.
Thank you. We're moving into our 2020 organizational meeting. I would ask that Mr. Ken Dietz serve as the temporary chair.
Thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion for the appointing chair of the Anderson Township Trustees.
I move that Mr. Girth be appointed chair of the Board of Township Trustees for fiscal year 2020.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Also, at this time, I would entertain a motion to appoint the vice chair of the Anderson Township Board of Trustees.
I move that Ms. Stone be appointed vice chair of the Board of Township Trustees for fiscal year 2020.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
I'd like to turn the chair back to you, Mr. Girth.
A lot of chairs. Just so everyone knows, it's now chair and vice chair, not president and vice president.
Just so you know.
Yeah. Mrs. Vice Chair.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I think our next action here is to adopt our schedule for 2020. You wanna take that? You wanna
Yes, I do. I
Okay.
move that the regular meetings of this board in January through December 2020 be held on the third Thursday of each month at 5 o'clock, beginning with executive session, with the public portion of the meetings commencing at 5:30 p.m., and that regular interim workshop meetings of the board be held on the first Thursday of each month at 2 p.m., both unless notice indicating otherwise is duly given. Be it further resolved that the practice and procedure of adopting the agenda, including the rules pertaining to public forum at each regular meeting of this board, shall continue to be the practice and procedure at meetings in 2020.
Second.
Mr. Pappas? Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes, and just so everyone knows, those times are moved forward a half hour from what we previously have been doing.
So the open meeting is 5:30
5:30.
instead of 6 o'clock.
All right. Our next action is to adopt temporary appropriations for 2020.
I move that the auditor and treasurer of Hamilton County and...
Hold on.
Wait,
Hold
other
on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I move to adopt the temporary appropriations for fiscal year 2020 as presented by Mr. Dietz as follows.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes. Now, we will motion a request to the Hamilton County Auditor.
I move that the auditor and treasurer of Hamilton County, in accordance with the revised code section 321.34, be requested to draw and pay to Anderson Township during fiscal year 2020 fiscal officer funds due in any settlement of 2019 derived from taxes or other sources payable by law to the county treasurer and held in the county treasury to the account of Anderson Township and lawfully applicable for the purposes for fiscal year 2020 and the fiscal officer is requested under revised code section 321.342 to seek periodic advances of taxes to be drawn on the undivided estate tax fund, and the fiscal officer shall forward to the county auditor a certified copy of this resolution.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes. Our next action is to appoint Sunshine Law trainee designees.
I move to appoint Betty Cowan, Molly Moorfield, Lisa Farrar, and Nancy Down as the designees who shall attend the Sunshine Law certification training provided by the Office of the Ohio Attorney General and is required by Section 149.43E1 of the revised code on behalf of trustees Joshua Girth, Andrew S. Pappas, and D. Stone, and fiscal officer Ken Dietz, respectively.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes. And our final action is to appoint several attorneys for particular matters in the township.
I move to adopt a resolution and order employing William J. Patterson, Thomas B. Allen, Scott R. Brown, Jeffrey S. Shuskin, Benjamin J. Yoder, Kathleen F. Ryan, and Gary E. Powell as township attorneys for particular matters for fiscal year 2020.
Second.
Mr. Pappas?
Yes.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Gerth?
Yes. And I believe that is it, unless anyone else has anything. Well, I'll say it again. Thank you, everybody, for a great year. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and with that, our next board meeting in this room will be January 16th at 5:30. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good one.